This story took place in the Altai Mountains, a land where nature is incredibly beautiful, but there also lurk fears that cannot be rationally explained. The romance of overnight camping attracted the participants of our trek. There were 7 of us: the organizer, a married couple, 2 guys, keen cyclists but no hiking experience. There was also me and a girl, a complete beginner. The organizer of our trip wanted to ride on dirt roads. The plan was to explore an object marked on old maps as an abandoned warehouse. We were supposed to spend the night on a picturesque riverbank surrounded by low mountains. As soon as the group left the asphalt, everything went wrong. The roads marked on the maps were overgrown with nettles and raspberries. The abandoned warehouse turned out to be a heap of broken bricks. The sun was burning, gadflies were biting, and the girl newcomer was constantly lagging behind. By evening, we were attacked by clouds of mosquitoes. We were running out of drinking water. Along the river stretched a picturesque meadow. On the opposite high bank burned the lights of a small village. But we found ourselves in a deserted forest. The road had not been cleared of fallen trees for a long time. There were no trails of mushroom pickers and fishermen, although it was not far to the nearest residential village. Driven by mosquitoes, we found a flat clearing. Tired and annoyed with our organizer, we pitched our tents. One was a couple's, mine was for me and the girl. 3 guys climbed into the 2-seater tent and quickly fell asleep. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, the silence of the forest was broken by some strange sounds. Loud sniffing, slurping, and fiddling somewhere behind the tents. I could hear the guys looking for a lantern. I opened the zip of my tent. It was pretty bright outside. We all jumped out at once. At the old campfire, where an empty can of stew had been thrown the day before, something incomprehensible was going on. The guys shone their torches, and we saw a small animal like a dog. It was probably a wolf cub. He was attracted by the smell coming from the jar. He stuck his muzzle in to lick the walls and got stuck. The jar sat tightly on his head. He tried to pull it off with his front paws, but the sharp edges of the jar cut right into his neck, causing pain. The wolf cub whimpered and cried. "He could suffocate like that," I said. "He's running out of oxygen in there." The lads rushed over the unfortunate animal and quite deftly freed him from that object on his head. The wolf cub was small and frightened. His whole face was wet and covered with stew. He was already starting to choke, so our help arrived just in time. When he came to his senses, he staggered towards the forest, and only then we noticed that at the opposite end of the clearing stood a she-wolf and 2 more cubs with her. She was looking at us carefully, as if studying and even memorizing us. I will never forget that look. Meanwhile, the wolf cub had already run across the clearing and joined his family. The wolf family immediately retreated into the nearby forest. Everything happened so fast that we didn't even have time to be frightened. There were no hunters among us, and only later we realized what deadly danger we were in at that moment. When we returned to our tents, we talked about various topics for another hour. Our trek ended safely, even cheerfully. It was as if we had forgotten about the night fear. After the adventure, a companionable atmosphere was formed. We returned to the city safely, and everyone was satisfied with the hike. Time passed, and one winter day I wanted to go to a winter hike, ski and spend the night in a tent in the snow. I had never had such an overnight camping experience before. I wanted to try out my new alpine skis in action. I tried to get the same old group of cyclists together, but not everyone could go. 2 guys and a girl, with whom we were sharing a tent at a time, agreed to keep me company. It was decided to go about the same place where we had holidayed last time. There were small mountains there, and we wanted to explore the area to know it better. Maybe it would become our favorite place for skiing. We reached the place by the familiar route, having had enough of riding on small slopes and enjoying the beauty of the area. We decided that it was time to take a break, have lunch and set up our tents. The winter starry night under the open sky is a sight of unprecedented beauty. We set up our camp of 2 tents next to a small ledge on the cliff. I woke up in a total darkness with fear. It seemed as if someone was standing outside the tent. From the breathing of the girl lying motionless, I realized that she was awake. Suddenly there was a glow, as if someone had shown a torch on the tent. The girl shuddered. A voice sounded. "Who's there?" I jumped up, realizing that something strange was happening, and ran out of tent. Again there was a faint, barely perceptible flash. I saw something frightening somewhere close by, to the right behind the trees, and there it was coming round our camp. I looked around fearfully and stealthily directed the torch beam towards the forest. With a nervous chuckle, the girl admitted that she had imagined something. She was trembling, though the night was quiet. The air felt the rising of something incredible, inexplicable and frightening. Then there was a rumbling of some sort, quietly at first, and then louder and louder, as if an avalanche were approaching. "That's it, an avalanche!" My mind flashed and I screamed with all my might. It turned out that the rumbling had already woken up the guys from the neighboring tent. All we managed in those few seconds was to instinctively hide under the overhanging rock next to our camp. The snow came down on us with terrible force. It seemed that for a while the world around us ceased to exist. When I woke up, I barely audibly called out to the guys. Thank God everyone was alive and responded to my voice. But it was clear that we were trapped under a thick layer of snow, and there was almost no possibility to get out of it, and danger of freezing was very great. But we decided to fight for our lives through the end. The snow filled the whole space. It was very difficult to move, but still there were places under the rock free from snow. This helped us to resist the elements. Slowly we managed to free our hands and feet. When we were deciding how we were going to get out, we suddenly heard some sounds behind the snow. It sounded like someone was trying to dig us out from several sides. But who could it be? No one knows that we are here, and that such a misfortune has happened to us. When the layer above our snow captivity became so thin that the light began to pass through it, the sound stopped. We, gathering all our strength, began to shovel the snow to get out as quickly as possible. The guys were the first to get free. Then they pulled us out. We looked around. We realized that we were very lucky. The avalanche had come down to the right of our camp, so we were only caught a little bit, and the ledge of the rock saved our lives. But who had dug us out after all? That was the question that kept us going. We could see tracks in the snow that went away from our snow trap towards the forest. We looked in that direction and saw a wolf pack. It was a she-wolf under her 3 grown cubs. The pack stopped. The she-wolf turned and looked at us. Her gaze was the same as the night we saved her cub from death. Dear viewers, if you liked this video, then give us a like and subscribe to our channel. See you later.